George, it was just a few days ago that the David Granger-led administration committed to working with the National Two-Shows Council, the NTC. But all of the collective work completed could be gone as President Granger is being asked to remove Junior Minister Keith Scott for comments made about the Amerindian land ownership. Minister Scott made remarks during a speech in Parliament which suggested that the Amerindians were being unreasonable in their desire to have their land ownership increased from 13.8 to 23% of Guyana's landmass. The minister went on to suggest that if the Amerindians got the increase, they should also forfeit their rights to any possible oil wealth. However, the NTC is not taking the minister's remarks lightly.
I think what would have been more in line is to see Keith Scott sanctioned because of his insults to the indigenous peoples, and also to potentially have him removed as a minister. You cannot have a minister preaching that kind of thing in the highest house in the land.
That was Lennox Schumann, the vice president of the National Two-Shows Council. Further, Schumann called on the president to sanction Minister Scott or face collective action from the Amerindian community.
I think Keith Scott doubled down on something, and at this point, I would tell you from the NTC side now, that if some sanction is not meted out against Keith Scott for his irresponsible remarks, then you are going to have to deal with it from the indigenous side. Let's turn the tables around.
Okay.
Imagine if Minister Ali Cox stood up in Parliament and said that about another ethnic group in Guyana. Do you think that he would still be sitting in Parliament today? Do you think that his constituents, that his supporters, or the people who support the administration would simply sit there and accept it and say, you know what, yes, Minister Ali Cox is blah, blah, blah. It is not only derogatory, it is outright, it borders very, very heavily on racism.
George, Mr. Schumann said that he is not sure if the government will appreciate what the Amerindian community will do, but that the Amerindians do not plan to settle until their demands for the minister's removal are met. For Channel 2 Headline News, I am Wendell Jeffrey.